All right, so are you ready to crack the code of the electromagnetic engineering interview?
Uh-huh.
Because today we're going deep on how to land that dream job.
Sounds exciting.
It is. We've got a whole stack of RoleCatcher resources to help us out, career guides,
Yeah.
interview guides. They've even got info on their AI tools.
Wow, that sounds pretty comprehensive.
It is. We're going to unpack all of it to help you totally nail that interview. We're going to figure out exactly what those interviewers are looking for and how to show off your skills and your experience.
I like it. So kind of like giving them a sneak peek into the mind of an interviewer.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll also touch on some cool insights about the field in general. So like, hot trends and stuff like that. Ready to dive in?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about what an electromagnetic engineer actually does, like in the real world.
A lot of people don't really realize how much variety there is in this field.
Yeah, true. It's not all like magnets and circuits. The RoleCatcher Career Guide actually has some really cool examples of what these engineers do.
Oh, like what?
So think about like designing MRI machines.
Wow, yeah.
The ones that let doctors see inside the human body.
Without surgery.
Exactly. Or like antennas.
The things that make wireless communication possible.
Yeah, exactly. Those are just a couple of examples.
That's incredible. And the guide also mentions that the demand for electromagnetic engineers is actually growing, right?
Yeah, it is. Especially in fields like, renewable energy and medical tech. Those are booming.
Totally. They're only getting bigger and bigger.
Exactly. So it's definitely a field with a bright future.
A secure career path, for sure.
So let's make sure our listeners are ready to snag one of those jobs.
Perfect.
And to do that, we are going to dig into the RoleCatcher Interview Guide.
Love it.
It has some awesome sample questions that we're going to break down one by one. We'll look at what the interviewer is really trying to get at with each question. And then we'll talk about how to craft the perfect answer, one that shows off your skills.
Sounds good to me. Let's jump right in. What's the first question?
All right, so question number 1.
Okay.
Describe your experience with electromagnetic analysis software.
Okay, that seems pretty straightforward, right? Like just list off the software you've used.
Right. But I feel like they're looking for something a little deeper,
Definitely. They don't just want a laundry list of software names. They want to know that you can actually use these tools,
Right.
to solve real-world problems. So think about specific projects,
Oh, good point.
where you use software like COMSOL or ANSYS.
Yeah, those are popular ones.
Exactly. So, did you use COMSOL to model the electromagnetic field for, I don't know, like a new antenna?
Okay.
Or maybe you used ANSYS to, analyze how an electric motor would perform.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So basically, you need to show them that you have practical experience. You're not just name-dropping software. You actually know how to use it.
So it's all about showing that you can walk the walk.
Yes, exactly. And there are a few things you should avoid saying in your answer.
Oh, really? Like what?
The interview guide actually has a whole section on this.
Oh, cool.
One big no-no is being too general.
Okay.
Don't just say oh yeah, I've used COMSOL. You need to give concrete examples.
Oh, I see.
Like, how did you apply that software to a specific project? What challenges did you face? And most importantly, how did you overcome them?
So paint them a picture.
Exactly.
Okay, so before we move on to the next question, I have to ask, how does RoleCatcher's AI come into play here?
Oh, that's a great question. So imagine this, you practice your answer.
Okay.
You record it using RoleCatcher's AI, and then it actually analyzes your response and gives you personalized feedback.
No way.
Yes, and it's tailored to the job you're applying for, so it's super relevant.
Wow. That's incredible.
It can even tell you how to improve your answer, like, hey, be more specific here, or add more details about this.
Wow, that's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
Exactly.
That's so cool. Okay, let's move on to question number 2.
Okay, hit me.
All right. How do you stay current with advances in electromagnetic technology?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I feel like this is all about showing them your passion,
You're absolutely right. They want to see that you're not just, clocking in and out.
Right.
They want someone who is genuinely curious about this field, someone who's actively seeking out new knowledge.
So how can our listeners impress them with their answer? Like, what are some tangible things they can talk about?
Okay, so think about the resources you use to stay updated. Do you subscribe to, industrial journals?
Like what?
Like IE Spectrum,
Okay.
Microwave Journal, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah?
Do you attend conferences, webinars, things like that?
A good point.
Do you follow thought leaders in the field?
Oh, yeah, like on social media or something.
Exactly, or through, online forums and stuff.
Yeah. And the career guide also mentioned, like, joining professional organizations.
Oh, right, like IE.
Yeah.
That's huge
Yeah.
because it not only shows your commitment to professional development, but it also gives you access to like tons of valuable resources.
Yeah, and networking opportunities.
Exactly. And don't forget about certifications. Those are really important too.
Yeah, those can definitely give you an edge.
For sure. They show potential employers that you have expertise in specific areas.
So basically, you need to show them that you're engaged in the field, you're on top of things.
Yes, you're not falling behind.
All right, so what should people avoid saying when answering this question?
Okay, so one common mistake is being too vague.
Oh,
You know, like saying, I read stuff online.
right.
Be specific.
Okay.
You know, mention the publications you read, the websites you visit, even like the experts that you follow.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and if you recently read an article or a research paper that, really stood out to you, talk about that.
Oh, I like that.
You want to show them that you're plugged into the world of electromagnetic engineering.
Like you're in the know.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Now, does RoleCatcher's AI have any suggestions for this question?
Oh, absolutely. So imagine this, you're writing your answer, right?
Uh-huh.
And then RoleCatcher's AI pops up and it's like, hey, why don't you mention a specific recent advancement in electromagnetic technology and then talk about how it relates to your career goals?
Oh, that's so smart.
Right. Or it might analyze your answer for keywords.
Oh,
The ones that really align with that specific job description. It helps you tailor your response.
so it's like having a personal editor.
Totally.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, let's move on to question number 3. Are you ready?
Yeah, bring it on.
All right. Describe your experience with electromagnetic compatibility testing.
Okay.
Now, I know testing is a big part of engineering, but what are they really trying to figure out with this question?
They want to see if you understand electromagnetic compatibility. EMC.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And if you know how to ensure that all those different electronic devices and systems can, coexist peacefully without interfering with each other.
So, like, you don't want your phone messing with your car's navigation system.
Exactly.
That's a good example.
It's all about making sure everything plays nice together.
So how can our listeners show off their EMC knowledge?
Okay, so talk about your experience with specific testing procedures and equipment.
Hey.
Have you used a spectrum analyzer
Okay.
to, measure emissions from a device?
Okay.
Or have you worked in one of those anechoic chambers,
Cool.
for radiated immunity testing?
Yeah.
Be specific and highlight your understanding of, industry standards and regulations. Like
Yeah.
you could mention your familiarity with FCC regulations.
Oh, right. In the U.S.
Yeah, or like CSPR standards internationally.
Got it.
It's all about showing that you can apply these principles in a real-world setting.
Okay, so it's not just theoretical knowledge.
Nope, you got to show them you can put it into practice.
Now, what are some things people should avoid when answering this question?
One mistake is focusing only on the technical stuff.
Okay.
Like the procedures and the equipment.
Hmm.
Don't forget to highlight your problem-solving skills.
Oh, good point.
Have you ever gotten unexpected results during a test? How did you figure out what was going on?
Oh, that's a good one.
Did you have to, modify the design or add more shielding to the device?
Yeah, that shows you can think on your feet.
Exactly. Those are the stories that really show off your ability to think critically and find solutions.
Okay, so problem-solving skills are key.
Absolutely.
Now, can RoleCatcher's AI help us out with this question too?
Oh, you bet. So picture this. You're getting your answer ready, and RoleCatcher's AI pops up with a suggestion. It's like, hey, how about you mention a time when you actually used those EMC design principles in a real project?
Oh, I like that.
Right. And maybe it'll remind you to, quantify your results.
Like using numbers.
Yeah, like how much you actually reduced that interference.
Okay.
Or how much you improved signal integrity.
Oh, that's a good point.
So it's like having this little personal editor making sure your answer is as strong as it can be.
It's like having a secret weapon.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to question number 4.
Awesome. What is it?
Describe your experience with antenna design.
Antenna design.
Yeah. What do you think about this one?
I think this is a question that can reveal a lot about a candidate, even if it seems a little niche at first glance.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, not every electromagnetic engineering role is going to be all about antennas.
Right.
But the principles behind antenna design Those are super important,
Okay.
for understanding electromagnetic fields and optimizing their performance.
So even if you haven't designed a ton of antennas, you can still answer this question well.
Oh, absolutely. So if you do have hands-on experience, definitely highlight that.
Okay.
Talk about the types of antennas you've designed, the software you've used,
Like what kind of software?
like HFSS,
Okay.
CST Microwave Studio.
Gotcha.
And talk about the performance metrics you focused on, things like gain, bandwidth, and efficiency.
Okay.
But even if you haven't, designed hundreds of antennas, you can still demonstrate your knowledge.
Oh, okay.
You can talk about the basic principles of antenna theory, the different types of antennas, and the challenges that come with designing them.
That makes sense.
So, show them you understand the fundamentals.
So even if you're not an antenna expert, you can still demonstrate your knowledge of the broader field.
Exactly. And the career guide mentions something really important, understanding design constraints.
Oh, yeah. What's that about?
Okay, so designing an antenna in the real world, it's not all about theoretical perfection.
Right.
You have to balance performance with things like size, cost, material.
Oh, yeah. Practicality.
Exactly, in the operating environment.
So like an antenna for a smartphone has to be tiny,
Right.
but still work well.
Exactly. Or
Yeah.
maybe you have to use a cheaper material.
Okay, so those are good examples to talk about in your answer.
Definitely. It shows that you can be creative and still think practically.
All right, so it's not just about technical chops. It's about understanding the big picture.
Precisely.
So are there any things to avoid when answering this question?
Oh, for sure. Be honest about your experience. Don't try to oversell yourself,
Okay.
Don't claim to be an expert in something you're not really familiar with.
Right.
It's okay to say, hey, I'm more comfortable with microstrip antennas than reflector antennas, but I'm willing to learn.
Right. Honesty is the best policy.
Exactly.
Okay, so how can RoleCatcher's AI help us out with this one?
Okay, so imagine you're getting ready for your interview.
Okay.
And RoleCatcher's AI looks at the job description and is like, hey, based on this, I think you should mention these antenna design projects or skills.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right. Or it might be like, hey, don't forget about these software tools. They're super common in this industry, especially for this type of antenna design.
Wow, it's a customized cheat sheet.
Totally.
Okay, on to question number 5.
Okay, bring it on.
This one is, how do you ensure electromagnetic compatibility in a system design?
Okay, so this one is all about being proactive. It's not just about testing. It's about anticipating and mitigating EMC issues before they become a problem.
So you're preventing problems instead of just reacting to them.
Exactly. You got to think ahead.
Got it. So how can our listeners show off that proactive mindset? Like, what are some specific things they can talk about?
Think about design practices that minimize interference.
Okay.
Have you used shielding techniques?
Okay.
To contain electromagnetic fields?
Oh, I see.
What about filtering?
To block out unwanted signals.
Exactly. Have you incorporated grounding and bonding best practices?
To reduce noise?
Yes, to
Right.
minimize, those pesky ground loops.
So it's like building a fortress to protect against interference.
Exactly. And the career guide emphasizes, staying current with industry standards and regulations.
Oh, right, because those are always changing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Electromagnetic compatibility is actually governed by some pretty strict rules.
Oh?
Especially in industries like, automotive, aerospace, medical devices. Mention any relevant standards that you're familiar with.
Like FCC regulations?
Exactly. Or those CISPR standards internationally.
Got it.
It shows that you understand the regulatory landscape and you can design systems that play by the rules.
So it's a combination of design skills, technical knowledge, and awareness of those big picture regulations.
You got it.
So any pitfalls to avoid when answering this one?
One mistake is getting lost in all that technical jargon,
Okay.
without actually explaining the concepts clearly.
All right.
Remember, you're talking to someone who might not be an EMC expert.
Right.
Keep it simple, avoid overly complicated terms.
Plain English.
Yes. And if you do have to use a technical term, make sure to define it.
Keep it accessible.
Exactly.
Okay, now for the AI question. What tips does RoleCatcher have for us on this one?
Okay, so let's say you're working on your answer, right?
Uh-huh.
And RoleCatcher's AI pops up, and it's like, hey, I think you should mention a specific project where you successfully use those EMC design principles. Give them a concrete example.
Okay, make it real.
Exactly. And it might remind you to quantify your results,
Using numbers again?
Yep, like how much you reduce that electromagnetic interference,
Okay.
or how you improve the signal integrity.
Got it.
It's like having a little brainstorming buddy in your pocket.
It's like AI to the rescue.
Right.
All right, ready for question number 6?
Yeah, hit me.
Describe a project where you had to troubleshoot an electromagnetic problem.
Troubleshooting.
The classic engineering challenge.
It really is. And this question is your chance to show off those problem-solving skills, your analytical thinking, your ability to think on your feet.
So it's story time.
Absolutely. This is your chance to tell a captivating story about how you tackled a tough problem.
Okay, so how do we craft that compelling tale?
Start by picking a project that shows off your strengths and one that's relevant to the job you're going for.
Okay, good point.
Then walk them through the whole process step by step. How did you even realize there was a problem?
Right.
What did you do to figure out what was causing it?
Right.
What tools did you use? Did you try different approaches? And most importantly, how did you finally solve it?
So it's all about the journey, not just the destination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to get specific. Mention the equipment you used, any simulations you ran, or research papers you had to consult.
Oh, yeah, that's good detail.
Did you have to team up with colleagues?
Oh, yeah, teamwork.
Brainstorm solutions together? Did you have to get creative, think outside the box?
Right.
Those details make your story come alive.
So we're showcasing our analytical skills here.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. Employers want to see that you can approach a problem systematically.
Okay.
Gather data, analyze the results, and come to logical conclusions.
So like a detective.
Exactly. And don't shy away from talking about the challenges you faced, those roadblocks you hit.
Right, because no problem's ever solved perfectly the first time.
Exactly. Every problem-solving journey has its bumps along the way.
Okay, so what are some things to avoid saying when answering this question?
Okay, one common mistake is jumping right to the solution.
Okay.
Without explaining how you got there. Don't just say, I fixed it by replacing this capacitor.
Okay.
Walk them through your thought process.
Right, show them how you arrived at the solution.
Exactly. Like, what made you think it was the capacitor in the first place? What tests did you do to be sure?
So highlight the thinking behind the action.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and last but not least, does RoleCatcher's AI have any tips for us on this one?
Oh, for sure. So you're prepping your answer, right?
Yeah.
And RoleCatcher's AI is like, hey, don't forget to quantify your results.
Oh, right, the numbers.
Yep. Like, how much did you reduce that interference? Or how much did you improve the signal quality?
Got it. I love those numbers.
And it might remind you to connect your experience to the company's needs.
Oh, good point.
By showing how those troubleshooting skills of yours can really help them out with their specific challenges.
So tailor it to the company.
Yes. It's like having your own personal coach guiding you through every step.
That's fantastic. All right, ready for question number 7?
Yeah, let's do it.
Describe your experience with electromagnetic simulation software.
Okay. Simulation software.
So we've touched on simulation before, but this question seems to be digging a little deeper.
You're absolutely right. This one is all about gauging your proficiency.
Okay.
In using these specialized software tools that model and analyze those electromagnetic phenomena.
So it's about showing that you can go beyond textbook theory.
Exactly. You got to show them you can apply these tools to real-world problems.
So what should our listeners focus on when answering this question?
Start with the specifics,
Okay.
Which software packages have you actually used? Have you worked with COMSOL,
Okay.
ANSYS HFSS, CST Microwave Studio,
Okay.
or other similar tools? And highlight any advanced features you're familiar with or any special modules you've used.
So really show off your expertise.
Yes, but it's not just about name-dropping those software titles, right?
Yeah.
You need to show them that you understand the principles behind these tools.
Oh, okay.
And that you know how to use them effectively.
So you're not just a button pusher. You understand what's happening under the hood.
Exactly. You could talk about how you used a finite element method solver, or FEM,
Okay.
to analyze the electromagnetic fields in like a really complex device.
Got it.
Or maybe you used a method of moments solver,
Oh.
or MOM, to model how electromagnetic waves scatter from an object.
Okay, so it's about showcasing that deeper understanding.
Precisely. You got to show them you're a critical thinker, not just a software operator.
All right, so what should people avoid saying when they answer this question?
Okay, so one common mistake is getting too caught up in all the software details
Oh, okay.
and not talking enough about the practical applications.
Right.
Remember, the interviewer wants to see how you use these tools to solve real problems in the real world.
Got it.
So did you use simulation software to optimize an antenna design,
Okay.
or maybe to analyze the electromagnetic interference between different parts of a system.
Right, give them a real-world example.
Exactly. You got to bring it back to those practical applications.
Okay, so once again, does RoleCatcher's AI have any tips for us?
Oh, absolutely. Let's say you're working on your answer, and RoleCatcher's AI is like, hey, I think you should mention a project where you used simulation software and got amazing results.
Okay.
Like maybe you significantly improved performance or saved a bunch of development time.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. And it might analyze your answer and suggest some keywords.
Okay.
You know, the ones related to specific simulation techniques
Okay.
or software features, the
Yeah.
ones that are really valued in the industry.
So it's giving you the inside scoop.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Okay, on to question number 8.
Okay, what is it?
Describe your experience with electromagnetic field measurement equipment.
All right, so this one is all about getting hands-on.
Right.
Showing that you're comfortable with the practical side of electromagnetic engineering.
So what should our listeners be sure to mention in their answer, like specific types of equipment?
Yeah, think about all the different equipment you've used to measure electromagnetic fields and signals.
Okay.
Have you worked with spectrum analyzers,
Okay.
to measure the frequency content of a signal?
Okay.
Have you used network analyzers to measure impedance,
Okay.
scattering parameters of a device?
Gotcha.
What about electromagnetic field probes?
To measure the strength and direction of those electric and magnetic fields.
Okay, so be specific and really show your understanding of the tools.
Exactly.
Okay, and what about measurement techniques?
Oh, that's super
The
important.
career guide mentioned those too.
You got to know how to set up the equipment properly, how to calibrate it for accuracy.
Right, it's not just point and shoot.
Exactly. And then you got to know how to interpret all that data you collect.
So it's a whole process.
It is. You could talk about calibrating a spectrum analyzer using like a known signal source,
Okay,
or using a network analyzer to measure the reflection coefficient of a cable,
gotcha.
just to make sure everything's properly matched.
So it's about showing that you understand the entire measurement process from start to finish.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what are some pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
One mistake is just listing off the equipment without giving specific examples of how you used it.
Okay, so show, don't tell.
Exactly. Remember, those interviewers, they want to see how you've used this stuff to solve real-world problems
Got it.
or to validate designs. Did you use a spectrum analyzer to find, like, the source of interference in a system?
Oh, that's a good example.
Right? Or did you use a network analyzer to measure the impedance of an antenna?
Okay, so make it real for them.
Yes, give them concrete examples that show off your skills.
Okay, cool. And I'm guessing RoleCatcher's AI has some helpful tips for this one too.
Oh, you know it. Imagine you're prepping your answer and RoleCatcher's AI chimes in like, hey, you know what would be really impressive? If you highlighted a project where you used those measurement results to make a crucial decision about the design.
Oh, that's smart.
Right. Or it might analyze your answer and suggest some keywords that are, really hot in the industry,
Oh, okay.
like specific measurement techniques
Got it.
or equipment that employers are really looking for.
So it's giving you that insider knowledge.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right, ready to tackle the final question for this deep dive.
Bring it on. I'm ready.
Okay, here it is. Describe a project where you had to optimize the electromagnetic performance of a system.
Okay. Optimization.
This seems like it requires a high-level understanding of both design and analysis.
You're absolutely right. This question is all about taking a holistic approach.
Yep.
Considering all those electrical and electromagnetic factors to get the absolute best performance.
So it's about seeing the whole system, not just the individual parts.
Exactly.
Okay, so how can our listeners demonstrate their optimization skills?
All right, so first things first, pick a project that really showcases your optimization superpowers.
Okay.
And make sure it's relevant to the job you're after.
Excellent.
Then walk them through the process.
Okay.
What was the system like initially? What performance goals were you aiming for? What were the biggest hurdles along the way?
Oh, that's good.
Did you have any design constraints?
Oh, right, those real-world limitations.
Exactly. Did you have to come up with some creative... we really covered some great stuff in that last section, all those little nuances of the interview questions.
I know, right? It feels like we're giving our listeners a secret decoder ring for the electromagnetic engineering interview.
Exactly. But, acing those questions is just one part of the puzzle.
Right, there's a whole career landscape to think about.
And that's where those career insights from RoleCatcher's resources come in handy. They really give you a roadmap for your professional journey.
Absolutely. And you know what? I was thinking back to when we were talking about software experience,
Oh, yeah.
and the career guide actually lists a ton of tools that electromagnetic engineers use all the time,
Really? Like what?
like COMSOL, ANSYS, SolidWorks, MATLAB.
Wow, that's a pretty impressive
It's
list.
like a who's who of engineering software.
And it's not just about knowing how to use one specific software, right?
Yeah.
You got to be adaptable,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
willing to learn new tools as technology changes.
Because what's hot today might be obsolete tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And employers want to see that you can keep up, you're not afraid of those new challenges.
You're a lifelong learner.
Exactly.
And the career guide also talked about those professional organizations and certifications.
Oh, yeah, like IE.
Exactly.
Those certifications we mentioned.
It's more than just padding your resume, right?
Oh, definitely. Joining an organization like I lets you connect with other professionals, attend conferences, and stay on top of the latest trends.
Yeah, it's like investing in your professional development.
Exactly. And it shows potential employers that you're serious about your career. You're not just coasting along.
You're proactive.
Yes.
And those certifications, they provide like tangible proof of your expertise.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It gives you a real leg up, especially when the job market is competitive.
They make you stand out.
Exactly.
I was also thinking about that question about staying current with technology.
Oh.
And the career guide mentioned some really cool trends shaping the future of electromagnetic engineering.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, one that I thought was super interesting was wireless power transfer.
Oh, wow.
Think about it, charging your devices without plugging them in.
That would be a game changer.
Right. And that's the kind of stuff that electromagnetic engineers are working on.
That is so cool.
So how can our listeners, position themselves to really capitalize on these trends?
I think it goes back to what we were talking about before, continuous learning.
Okay.
Staying curious, reading those industry publications, going to conferences, maybe even pursuing an advanced degree.
Oh, yeah, a master's or a PhD.
Exactly. Or you could get a specialized certification. If you can show a potential employer that you're knowledgeable about these trends, you're golden.
You're ahead of the curve.
Precisely.
And you know what else I was thinking about?
What's that?
That question about troubleshooting.
Oh, yeah. The one about solving that electromagnetic problem.
The career guide really emphasized those problem-solving skills.
And it makes sense, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these engineers are often tackling some super complex problems.
It's all about finding creative solutions.
Exactly. You might be designing a new antenna for a satellite and suddenly, bam, unexpected interference.
Oh, no.
Right. Or you're working on a wireless power transfer system and the efficiency just isn't where it needs to be.
Those are some tough challenges.
They are. And those are the types of problems that electromagnetic engineers are expected to solve.
So it's not enough to just know the theory. You've got to be able to apply it.
Exactly. Employers want to see that you can think on your feet, analyze data, and come up with innovative solutions. And they want to hear about those experiences in the interview.
So share those stories.
Absolutely. Talk about those challenging projects, the ones that really tested you and how you overcame those obstacles.
It's all about showing your resilience and your ability to think outside the box. And the career guide even gave some insights into specific problem-solving approaches.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, they talked about things like root cause analysis.
Okay, yeah.
Systematically figuring out what's at the heart of the problem.
That's important.
They also mentioned using simulations and modeling.
Yeah.
To test out solutions before you actually build anything in the real world.
Oh, yeah. That's a smart way to approach things.
And they emphasized communication skills.
Oh, right.
Being able to explain your findings to both technical and non-technical audiences.
That's often overlooked, but it's so important.
Yeah, especially when you're working on those big, complex projects.
For sure.
And speaking of big picture thinking, I was also thinking back to that question about ensuring electromagnetic compatibility in system design.
Oh, yeah.
The career guide talked about those regulations, like the legal stuff.
Oh, right.
And how important it is to understand that whole landscape.
Yeah, electromagnetic compatibility, it's not just about making sure things work properly. You have to comply with standards and regulations, too.
Right, there are rules to follow.
Exactly. So, for example, here in the U.S., the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, they set limits on how much radiation devices can emit.
Okay, that makes sense.
And in Europe, you've got ETSI.
Oh, right.
The European Telecommunications Standards Institute, they set similar regulations.
So you've really got to be aware of those rules and design systems that meet those requirements.
Exactly. And that means staying up to date. because those regulations and standards, they change all the time.
It's like a moving target.
It really is. Luckily, there are all sorts of organizations and publications that keep you informed.
Yeah, they provide that valuable info.
And a lot of companies even offer special training courses just on EMC compliance.
So it's definitely something you can learn and stay on top of.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's another area where RoleCatcher can be so helpful.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, their AI can actually help you find those relevant organizations.
Okay.
And those certifications.
Oh, cool.
And training opportunities. You know, the ones that fit your specific career goals.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. It's like having your own personalized career advisor.
Right. It takes out all the guesswork.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of personalized guidance, let's talk more about RoleCatcher's AI and how it can help you with your interview prep.
Yeah, let's dive into that a bit more.
We've touched on it throughout this deep dive, but I think it's worth really breaking down how it can give you that extra edge in your job search.
Totally agree.
Okay, so first of all, there's their CV and resume builder.
Okay.
Imagine having an AI that looks at those job descriptions and picks out the most important skills and keywords to include in your application.
That would be incredibly helpful.
Right. And that's exactly what RoleCatcher does. It helps you tailor your resume to each specific job.
So you're not just sending out the same generic resume to everyone.
Exactly. You're showing them that you've really thought about the position.
And that you're a good fit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah. It increases your chances of getting noticed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not just about keywords.
Really?
RoleCatcher's AI can also look at your work experience and actually suggest ways to highlight your skills, you know, to really make them pop for those hiring managers.
So it's like having a personal branding consultant.
Yeah. It's working behind the scenes to make you shine.
I love that. And then there's the Get Discovered feature.
Oh, yeah, that one's cool.
Imagine employers finding you, even if you haven't actually applied for their job.
It's like having a digital headhunter working for you 24/7.
Exactly.
And it's all powered by AI.
Okay, so how does that work?
So RoleCatcher takes your skills and then it matches them to the requirements of open positions.
Oh, that's smart.
Right? And it just increases your visibility. It puts you in front of those companies that are looking for someone just like you.
It takes a lot of the pressure off, you know? You're not constantly searching and applying for jobs.
Right. The jobs come to you.
Exactly. It frees up your time to focus on developing your skills.
Right.
And showcasing your expertise.
And let's not forget those interview prep tools.
Oh, yeah. Those are great.
RoleCatcher has this massive library of interview questions,
Okay.
all categorized by industry and role.
Yeah.
But it's not just a static list, you know.
What do you mean?
Their AI actually analyzes your responses
Oh, wow.
and gives you feedback.
Yeah.
So it helps you identify areas where you can improve.
It's like having a personal interview coach.
Exactly.
I love that.
And with their video practice feature, you can even record yourself answering questions.
Oh, that's cool.
And then get AI-powered feedback on things like your body language, your tone of voice.
So you're not just practicing your words, you're practicing your delivery, too.
Exactly. It's like having a virtual mock interview.
But with the added bonus of those AI insights.
Right. And you can do it all from the comfort of your own home, 24/7.
That's so convenient.
So whether you're just starting out on your job search or you're a seasoned pro, RoleCatcher has the tools to help you succeed.
I totally agree.
So we've given you a ton of information today. We've talked about what interviewers are looking for, specific questions you can expect, and strategies for answering them. But there's one final piece of the puzzle that we haven't really discussed yet. Oh, you've got me curious. What's that missing piece?
It's all about connecting those technical skills with the bigger picture.
Okay, I'm listening.
Remember, while those interviewers are definitely checking out your technical knowledge, they're also looking for something more.
Oh, like what?
They're looking for people who are passionate, you know, driven, eager to contribute to the team.
So they want to see what you're really about.
Exactly. They're trying to get a feel for who you are, how you'll fit into their company culture.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But how do you show off that passion and drive in a technical interview?
Think back to those 9 interview questions we talked about.
Okay.
Did any of them, like, spark a specific memory? A project that you're really proud of?
Okay.
Or a challenge that you learned a ton from?
Okay.
Maybe there's a technology that you just totally geek out about.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So let your enthusiasm shine through.
Exactly. Even when you're talking about technical details.
Let that excitement show.
Yes. If you can convey that spark, that genuine love for the field, it can make all the difference.
It's like the difference between reading a script and telling a story from the heart.
Exactly.
That passion It's contagious.
It really is. So as you prepare for your interview, think about those moments in your career, the ones that really lit you up.
Okay, so what projects made you think outside the box? What challenges helped you grow?
Exactly. Those are the stories that are going to stick with the interviewer.
They're the ones that make you memorable.
They're the ones that set you apart from everyone else.
That is such great advice. And before we wrap up our deep dive into electromagnetic engineering interviews, I have one final question for our listeners, something to think about as you keep prepping. Based on everything we talked about today, what's one project or experience from your background that you would want to highlight in this interview?
Choose carefully. What experience really shows off your technical skills,
Oh.
your problem-solving abilities,
Uh-huh.
and that all-important passion for electromagnetic engineering? What story is going to grab the interviewer's attention?
Yeah, what's going to make them want to learn more about you?
Exactly.
That's the story you want to tell. And remember, RoleCatcher is there to support you every step of the way. From building a resume to practicing those answers with their AI, they've got the tools to help you land that dream job.
So go out there, be confident, let your passion shine, and ace that interview. We're rooting for you.
And until next time,
Yeah.
keep diving deep.